Why does a single WhatsApp notification from your old college group make you freeze? You see 45 unread messages and immediately feel a heavy wave of exhaustion. It is not because you have suddenly become a cold or antisocial person. Actually, this quiet withdrawal is the first sign that your mind is maturing. But why does this shift feel so incredibly lonely at first? Psychologists suggest that a shrinking social circle is a sign of cognitive evolution. Your brain is simply upgrading its filters to protect your limited mental peace. While others collect superficial contacts, highly intelligent minds quietly step away. This is not a loss of social skills, but a transition toward deeper alignment. To understand this, we have to look back at how our friendships began. In school, we made friends simply because we share the same wooden bench. Proximity was the only real glue holding those early connections together. But as adults, we require intellectual symmetry and shared core values to connect. Without that alignment, even a 10-year friendship can start to feel hollow. This mismatch forces the mature mind to perform a very difficult calculation. As responsibilities grow, your brain begins to treat energy as a finite currency. You start calculating the exact cost of attending every single social gathering. Spending 3 hours on small talk leaves you completely drained for the next day. So, your mind naturally chooses rest and personal growth over empty noise. This calculation becomes incredibly clear during late-night social rituals. At 22, you would gladly join a midnight chai run without a second thought. But at 32, you value a solid night of sleep much more than gossip. Choosing to go home early is not selfish. It is a sign of self-preservation. You are redirecting your focus toward your career, your health, and your family. This shift is deeply rooted in how our internal reward systems function. The brain of a young adult thrives on the quick dopamine of social approval. But a mature brain seeks long-term satisfaction through meaningful, quiet achievements. This is why loud parties lose their charm, replaced by solitary creative pursuits. Your neural pathways are literally rewiring themselves to prioritize depth over volume. And this biological limit is actually defined by a very famous scientific number. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar proved we can only maintain 150 stable relationships. Yet in India, a single wedding invitation list often exceeds 500 people. We are constantly forcing our brains to process an unnatural volume of connections. This constant social overload inevitably leads to deep, silent mental burnout. We keep scrolling through contacts, holding onto a massive illusion of popularity. Having 800 contacts on your phone does not mean you have 800 friends. Most of those names are just acquaintances who happen to have your number. If you have a better way to manage this social noise, share it below. Please take a moment to subscribe and hit the like button right now. Because when a real-life crisis hits, that massive list suddenly shrinks. Consider a professional who proudly maintained over 800 social contacts. When he was hospitalized for a major surgery, only 5 people visited. The other 795 contacts remained completely silent on his phone screen. That is the moment he realized his vast network was just a quiet illusion. This realization is the beginning of true, mature social intelligence. Real social intelligence is not about how many hands you can shake. It is about knowing exactly who deserve a place at your table. It is the ability to cultivate deep, unbreakable trust with a select few. But many of us struggle to do this because of deep-seated habits. In fact, there are 3 distinct ways we drain our own energy. First, the chronic overpleaser who simply cannot say no to anyone. Second, the individual who lets toxic people cross their personal boundaries. And third, the conflict avoider who keeps quiet to preserve a false peace. Because they avoid small friction, they carry a massive burden of exhaustion. This exhaustion is especially heavy within our close-knit family systems. In our culture, we are taught to prioritize the collective over the individual. We attend endless family functions just to keep up appearances for others. but smiling through forced conversations drains the energy you need for yourself. You cannot build a meaningful life while constantly running on empty. This constant giving eventually creates a very dangerous psychological trap. When you invest heavily in people, you naturally expect the same in return. But when they fail to meet your silent expectations, resentment begins to grow. This cycle of high investment and deep disappointment is incredibly toxic. The only way to break it is to release your grip on approval, and that requires accepting a very liberating psychological truth. You must realize that other people have the absolute right to dislike you. Their opinion of you is a reflection of their mind, not your worth. Once you accept this, the fear of social judgment completely evaporates. You no longer feel the need to explain your absence from gatherings. But how do we actually step away without causing unnecessary drama? Calling out a toxic friend directly almost always backfires in our circles. They will immediately play the victim and spread gossip through mutual friends. Suddenly, you are labeled as the difficult and arrogant person in the group. Direct confrontation only feeds the drama and drains even more of your energy. The real masters of relationships use a much more elegant strategy. The most effective way to exit a relationship is the slow fade. You do not announce your departure. You simply become less available. Stop replying instantly to messages and politely decline the next invitation. Over time, the connection naturally cools down without any explosive arguments. To make this seamless, you need to establish a very solid shield. Always have a constructive, undeniable focus to explain your busy schedule. Mentioning a major professional project or a health routine works beautifully. People cannot argue when you are investing in your own future. Keep your explanations incredibly brief and do not leave room for debate. Even with a perfect alibi, a quiet internal struggle will arise. Feeling guilty about letting go of old friends is completely normal. But you must realize that growing apart is a natural law of life. You are not betraying your past. You are simply honoring your present. Letting go of the old makes room for the connections that truly matter. This space allows you to focus on raising your own personal frequency. To attract high-quality people, you must first stabilize your own life. When you radiate calm, focused energy, the right minds naturally gravitate toward you. You no longer have to chase friendships because quality replaces sheer quantity. Ultimately, a smaller circle is not a sign of isolation, but of elevation. And that brings us to the ultimate freedom of a refined life. Never apologize for choosing a smaller, more peaceful circle of friends. It means you have finally decided to live your life with absolute intention. Cherish the few who truly understand your silence and respect your boundaries. This quiet clarity is the greatest gift you can give to your future self. The trace of that wise choice will keep guiding your path tomorrow.